Manhattan, fast food, Dakar, Sénégal, la grand-mère à l'hôpital Dantec, tout va bien, Caire, moi ici, toi là-bas, le visa au consulat numéro 39, y'attends, à l'état civil, déjà l'an 2000, déjà 2000 ans, au Manhattan, fast food, Dakar, Sénégal, cinéma, le Paris.
Hello loves, welcome to Aarti Party, and today we're making red meat! Yay! We're making Giddy Up steak, which is flank steak rubbed with coffee and brown sugar. Say what? And then on top of that, we're going to serve it with this caramelized onion and date compote. I know, it sounds so fancy, so easy, and actually pretty cheap for red meat. So let's start with our rub. So we'll need 2 tablespoons of this chili powder. Oh. Oops. 3 teaspoons equals a tablespoon. So. 1. And then you'll need a tablespoon of coffee, a tablespoon and a half of brown sugar, half a teaspoon of ground coriander, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, and somebody, that one, used up all my ground ginger, so I'm just using the dregs of what's left.
My ground ginger.
Mine. You're ridiculous. Oh, now you made me spill it. Half a teaspoon of salt, about a half teaspoon of black pepper. So just mix it all together. It should smell really good. Okay, now for the steak. I love flank steak because it's so much cheaper than regular steak. This is 2 pounds, a little over 2 pounds, about a kilo for all of you on that side. And it costs about $6 or $7 a pound at my supermarket. So that's so much cheaper than getting big things of steak for people. And when you slice it up, people really won't even know the difference. It's an open meat. You can see, you can actually get into it. So rub some of that stuff right in there so the flavor really penetrates. You'll have probably one side that's covered in fat and silver skin and stuff. Take the extra 10 minutes and get rid of it because it's going to taste awful. It's going to make your meat chewy. Just slip your knife underneath a layer of it and then just saw back and forth, and it'll come off in little lengths. And put it in one of these baking dishes, and you can actually cook it right away if you like, but I'm going to let it sit. And then we're going to make our compote. But first, wash your hands. Eee, look at that. For your onion compote, you'll need 3 or 4 of these big mamas. And then throw your onions in. And it's about medium high at the moment. Just sprinkle them with some salt. It draws the water out of the onions, and then the water evaporates, and then the sugar caramelizes in the onion. So leave these alone for about 10-15 minutes. They'll start to shrink a little, maybe go a little brown, and then we'll check back, okay? At this point, turn your heat down to sort of low, medium low. This is the bit that takes a little while. You want to just let it cook for about 25 minutes. Yeah. It seems like a long time, but it's completely worth it. It's going to become so sweet and oniony and delicious. And then if you make a ton of it, you can put it on grilled cheese. Come on. How good is that? Look at that. Who doesn't want to eat that? And then I have some dates that I chopped up. I got about 5 of them, and I chopped them up into little pieces. Yum, yum. And then a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar, just your regular stuff, nothing fancy. Oh, Lord. it smells ridiculous up in here, right? Doesn't it smell ridiculous? That's ridiculous! And then you just put a lid on it and let it go for another 5 minutes. While that's cooking, let's do our steak. I'm going to rub down my skillet with oil so that it doesn't stick, the meat doesn't stick. So I'm just going to let it cook 5 minutes on each side because flank steak cooks really quickly, but put it on a nice high heat so you get it kind of crusty on each side. And that brown sugar will caramelize. Yum, yum, yum. I'm so excited to eat. The reason that I've called it Giddy Up steak is because I guess back in the day the cowboys used to rub their meat with coffee because that's really all they had, right? Coffee and bourbon. And it's such a great meal, you know, to eat after you've spent a whole day gunning down outlaws.
You're welcome. Thank you. Love you. Love you. Want some meat? Love to. Okay. Love to meet you.
Hello, pretty girl. Come on. Just come on. And I'm actually going to tent it with some foil. The idea is you're just letting it rest. I'm not sure of the science of this, but apparently all the juices will then, they're running around like crazy and then they'll just sort of settle. So that when you cut your meat out, all the juice stays in the meat as opposed to running all out. I'm free, like that. So just let it sit for 5 minutes. Okay, the key to cutting flank steak is that you cut across the grain. So when the steak was raw, you would have seen that the lines across the meat were going this way. So then when we slice it, we'll cut it this way. This is particularly for flank steak, so that it's really tender. Otherwise, it's going to be wicked chewy. You can cut it slanted so it's really thin, but it gets colder quicker. So I actually cut it into nice thick slices, so it stays nice and hot. Nothing fancy, just meat and onions. Time for a bite. A bit of compote on it. Oh man, this is seriously one of my favorite things I've ever made. Oh my god, it's so good. Holy crap, that's good. And the only thing that's missing are some parsnip chips. And if you're interested in that, check out my website. I'll put the link right there and you can check it out. So give it a go, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Isn't that good? It's so good that my friend who works for a meat company, he made it and he loved it so much that he gave me 2 free pieces of flank steak. Like
oh my god.
ones.
That
And
is amazing.
Isn't that cool?
So tender.
Thanks, Larry.
Yummy. Thanks, Larry. Want some more?
Yep.